Look around you. Everyone is walking around with a heavy brain, even though the average human developed brain weighs around 3 pounds. But it feels as if we're carrying around a 20-pound brain with the amount of thoughts that we have roaming around. Everybody's mind seems to be similar to that scene in SpongeBob where everyone is running around in his mind and files are on fire and everybody's panicking. It is no wonder why people are aging like crazy. Like, people are out here like 20 years old, 23, 24, 25, and they're out here looking like they're 40 years old. Overthinking causes unwanted stress, and as we all know, unwanted stress can really age you like crazy. Like, we've all known that one person who, we've known before, and then like 3 years pass by and it's like, holy crap, like what happened to you? Unwanted stress can do those type of things. It is known to accelerate aging. Telomeres are these compound structures that are found at the end of our chromosomes, and telomeres are known to be associated with our lifespan. You see, as we get older, these telomeres that are found at the end of our chromosomes, they tend to shorten. And the thing is that when they shorten, we are more prone to sickness, and we also age a lot more faster. This is why when we see a 60-year-old, they don't look like a 20-year-old no more, right? Because their telomeres are a lot shorter, which is why they look a lot older. 10 years from now, your telomeres are going to be shorter than it is right now. But the rate at which it decreases can be determined by many things like your lifestyle habits. For instance, having a good diet and also exercising consistently can help you lower the rate at which the telomeres shorten. And remember, the faster the telomere shortens, the faster we age as well. There was actually a study done where it went deep into telomeres and how it affects our life, and it was shown that stress can cause the telomeres to rapidly decrease. And we all know that a lot of the unwanted stress that we experience in our day-to-day lives comes from our constant overthinking. So we could say that overthinking literally ages us faster, which is why we see a lot of people nowadays who are in their 20s or in their 30s who do not look like they're young. But not only does constant overthinking affect us in a way that we start to look a lot more older, but it also affects us in a negative way that can potentially ruin our life. Things like procrastination, a messed up sleep, lower confidence, anxiety and stress, bad health over time, depression and worry, depletion of productivity, a jammed creative mind, negative mental imagery, impaired ability to problem solve, and nothing changing, leaving you stuck in the same spot. Now, there are many forms of overthinking. If you're someone who overthinks a lot, or you used to before, you guys know that you can overthink about many things. You could be overthinking about a decision that you want to make, but you are having trouble making a decision. Or you could be thinking about, a girl sending you a text and you're out here overthinking what the text could mean. I used to be an overthinker. In the past, I would heavily overthink about things like the way I would look, the way I would be perceived by other people, the decisions that I made. When I was a little kid, I used to overthink a lot. Like, I remember there was this one time when I was a little kid where I literally thought I had asthma. Back then, I would search up like symptoms of certain things like asthma or like high cholesterol, like heart attack and things like that. Like, I used to be very paranoid about my health back when I was a little kid. And I remember there was one time I searched up the symptoms for asthma, and I was experiencing one of the symptoms of asthma, which, by the way, you could be experiencing a symptom and you could be having so many other different things, but you probably are okay. It's just normal things that happen, right? And I literally thought I was about to get an asthma attack, and this would lead me to overthink of like whether or not I had asthma, which I didn't, and then it would lead me to having panic attacks. By the way, big tip for you guys, pause. If you guys are feeling any type of way, like you guys got a headache or something like that, or you feel something weird, do not go on Google and search up what it could be, because you could be having a headache, and if you go on Google and search it up, Google's gonna tell you that you're gonna have a freaking brain tumor or that you have a disease and you're about to die, and you're gonna start overthinking. And this is not helpful for someone who is known to overthink a lot, which I learned the hard way when I was a little kid. If anything, it only caused unwanted stress. And recently I spent, or a better way to put it, I invested money in myself to help me get closer to my goals. And after I had already spent the money, I started to have a bit of self-doubt creep in, and I started to overthink a lot. I started to overthink about things like, what if this happens? What if wasn't the best decision to make? And I started having these thoughts roam in my mind. Now, there might be some people who say, well, it's good to overthink. It's good to be analytical about things before making a decision. And I do agree with that to some extent. Yes, it's good to do your due diligence before you make a decision, right? Like, you're about to move, or you are planning to quit college, or you're planning to make some big move in your life. Yes, it's good to be analytical and to think things through so that you don't make a decision that later on you regret. But there is such a thing called analysis paralysis, which literally every overthinker does, and they stay stuck in that planning phase, and they never move forward. Now, the benefits of not overthinking far outweigh the benefits of overthinking a lot constantly, especially when making decisions. And I know, because after what I'm about to go through this video, it has helped me a lot with overthinking a lot less and helping me be at peace with the decisions that I make, and also not overthink about superficial things that really don't need my attention. When you stop being an overthinking addict, you reduce stress, you let the creativity flow, you improve your sleep, you improve your focus, you see progress in your life finally, you improve your productivity, you improve your mental clarity, you improve your mental health, you improve your physical health, and you're also better at decision making. Now you probably are thinking that I still overthink heavily because of what I just explained to you, how I recently was overthinking about decisions that I made, but not really. You see, overthinking is not something that you completely get rid of, because whatever decision that you make in your life, if it's a big decision, like for example you're in college and then you're deciding, you know what, I don't want to continue college, I'm gonna drop out. That is not a small decision to make. That is a big decision. Same way as moving to a different state. Those are not small decisions. Those are big decisions that you're gonna make that can impact your life in a good way or in a bad way. And when you make big decisions in your life, don't be surprised if you find yourself overthinking, because when you make a decision that is scary at first, your brain is gonna try to stop you from making that decision. Your brain knows that it's gonna be uncomfortable, and what your brain wants to do is to protect you. It wants to keep you safe. The problem is that when you stay safe, which what your brain wants you to do, you don't move forward in your life. And so you stay stuck in this planning phase, you stay stuck in this analysis paralysis phase, and no changes ever happen in your life. And so that's why you stay in the same spot forever, and you end up being 80 years old and wondering what the hell did you do with your life. It is a part of the human experience to overthink, because think about it, our ancestors back then, if they didn't think things through, how they were going to hunt the right way, if they just went straight to hunting without having a plan beforehand, they could have easily died and got killed. So our brains are wired to avoid failure. The problem is that we need to make failures, we need to make mistakes, in other words, because without failures, without mistakes that we make, we won't be able to correct course. We can use that as negative feedback that we can now use to correct course and to help us make better decisions later on, so that we could get to where we want to go to in life. And also, we live in a world now where if we fail, it usually doesn't result in death. So literally our brain is wired against us. The key to all of this is to become aware of when you are overthinking, so that you can stop it before it destroys your life. It's kind of similar to like anxiety. Anxiety is not something that you completely get rid of and you will never experience ever again in your life. Instead, whenever you find yourself feeling a bit anxious, you have certain methods, certain strategies that you use in order to prevent the anxiety from getting worse and from ruining your life. Things like meditation or like going for a walk. These are methods that you use to stop the anxiety, and there's also methods that you can use to stop the overthinking before it ruins your life. And what I want to go over is a couple of techniques that I've implemented into my life that has helped me significantly reduce the overthinking that I have, and it helps me overall live a better, more calm, satisfying life. Do your worrying before you make the move, not after the parts start moving. It is normal for you to feel anxious or to overthink before you make a decision, because you're about to make a decision that could potentially impact your life in a positive or in a negative way. But that is the only time where overthinking is allowed. That is the only time where you feeling anxious is allowed. When you already follow through with the decision, all the thinking that you do that has to do with what if this happens, or what if this wasn't the best decision to make, what if I made the wrong move, leave all of that behind, because that you already thought about before you made the decision. Now that you already made the decision, all you can do that will help you a lot more is just relax, execute on the plan that you already made beforehand, and let the outcome happen on its own. If you're going to worry, do it before you make the decision. Do it before you change whatever it is that you're going to change in your life, because at least before, you can at least do something about it. You can figure out the odds of what may happen or what may not happen, or you can just decide to not take the risk at all and just don't do anything about it. But if you already made the decision, like if you already decided I'm going to college, or you already decided I'm already dropping out and you already dropped out, or if you already decided to move and you already called the movers and you already got the apartment and you already quit your lease on the current apartment that you're in right now, the parts are moving already. There's no point of you overthinking of whether this was a good decision or not, because you already did that thinking before you made the decision. Like if you decided to do YouTube and you already got all the equipment, you got the camera, you got the microphone, you got the Adobe Premiere, whatever it may be, you already got all the parts moving. You already followed through with the decision. All the overthinking of whether this was the best decision or not serves no purpose if you already follow through with the decision. All you gotta do now is just hit the record button and start talking. I realized this recently, like I said, when I was overthinking about the money that I had spent, that I had invested in myself. But I realized that all the overthinking is just wasted mental energy, and that it really serves no purpose. It only causes unwanted stress because the decision was already made. We cause anxiety by trying to mentally escape from a decision that we already physically followed through with. If we already followed through with it physically, why try to run away from it mentally? That's literally how anxiety is created. Consciously respond to the present moment as best as you can. Overthinking is either you thinking too much of the past, which you cannot change, or thinking too far into the future, which you cannot experience yet. Your mind cannot properly function in the yesterday or in the tomorrow. It can only properly function in what's happening at this moment right now. A way that can help you be in the present moment is to literally experience your five senses right now. So for example, like right now I have this, like my AirPods right here, right? I'm literally touching it right now, right? I'm touching it, I'm feeling it. Like, just be in the moment and just feel it. Use your five senses, right? Smell, or like breathe, or see, like look at the what you're seeing right now. I usually do like the touching, because touching is more like sensitive, like you could literally sense it. Like, so whenever I want to be in the present moment, I just like, touch whatever is near me right now, and I just feel the complexion, the texture of it. It only takes a few seconds to become aware of any of these, and it puts you right at the present moment right now. And this also helps you a lot when you're constantly overthinking, because by literally touching something, or listening to something, or seeing something, smelling something, it puts you back in the present moment right now. It's okay to make plans for tomorrow, but don't try to live in the tomorrow. And it's perfectly fine to plan as well. It's perfectly fine to plan your future, because it's way better to plan than not to plan. Like, just like Benjamin Franklin said, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. But don't try to live in the future when it hasn't even arrived yet. I know that during the times when I would overthink a lot, it was either about the past, which I couldn't change, or the future, which I could not yet live. Ask yourself, what's the worst that can happen? Many people let the years pass them by and never taken advantage of it, because of the amount of negativity that they constantly have in their brain of the things that could possibly happen. And this leads them to never making any action on the idea that they have in their brain that they've been wanting to execute on for a long time. And then leaves them in the same spot, because they fear the unknown too much. And the result of this is a miserable and anxious existence, because you are stuck with the question, what if? We tend to overthink a lot what could go wrong more than what could go right, and I call this exaggerated negatives. But if you were literally to sit down and take a moment of your day to just write down with a piece of paper what could possibly go wrong if you follow through with this plan that you want to follow through with, you're going to end up realizing that the worst thing that can happen is not really that bad as you make it seem, or at least as your brain, your mind makes it seem. Think about it. Whatever decision you've been scared of making, if you follow through with it, you most likely are not going to die. So the worst that can happen is not really that bad, because it doesn't result in death. Like, if you are scared of asking a girl her number, what's the worst that can happen? She says no. You get a little bit embarrassed. That's it. I've done this myself. I've sat down and I've grabbed a piece of paper and I've journaled what the possible things that could go wrong if I follow through with this path that I'm on. And I realized that the things that could go wrong, like the worst of the worst, is not really that bad as I make it seem. I think that writing it down, like you could do it in your brain right now, like after watching this video, you could think about what's the worst that could happen. But I truly believe that writing it down kind of gives you a lot more perspective. It kind of makes it all like seem that it's not really that bad. And I overthink a lot less about the exaggerated negatives that my mind tries to create. Meditate. Most of us have busy schedules, and it's normal, especially if you have a job and you have school and these other things. You also are trying to pursue your dreams. So many things in our day that it can sometimes turn chaotic. And when we are stressed and we're constantly overthinking, the amygdala part of our brain activates. And the amygdala is the fear and response system of the brain. So the more you overthink, the more the amygdala activates, which causes you to stress and overthink a lot more. It's kind of like this vicious cycle where you start overthinking, the amygdala activates, you overthink more, then the amygdala activates more, and then you overthink more. It's kind of like this vicious cycle that doesn't stop. Meditation has been shown to make the amygdala part of your brain a lot smaller. It makes it activate a lot less, which helps you overthink a lot less and not feel as stressed. This is why when people meditate, they feel these mental health benefits of less stress, less anxiety. So take 10 minutes of your day to just meditate. And I recommend you guys, if you're a beginner, to try going on YouTube and searching up 10-minute meditations, or you can go get an app like Headspace or Calm. Monotask. Something else that most of us do, that I'm pretty sure if you're into productivity, you already know what I'm talking about, that causes more stress, more overthinking, and more anxiety, is trying to do so many things at once. In other words, trying to multitask. We're doing our homework, but we have the TV on with our favorite series on. We are trying to do work on our laptop, but we have the phone on our right side open with our Instagram app trying to scroll at the same time. All of this does is cause unwanted stress, and it literally wastes time. And even before we start multitasking, we already cause ourselves unwanted stress by overthinking of all the tasks that we have to do later on in our day, not realizing that the task that we have to do later on in our day will come when the time comes. But until then, we have to focus on the task at hand and not the task that hasn't been handed to us yet. Try doing two hard tasks at the same time, and you're gonna realize how stressful and also how poorly you're gonna do both of those things. The truth is, we can only do one thing at a time. We cannot try to do many things at a time and expect to do them good, or expect to not feel stressed or anxious. If we try to half-ass a lot of things, we're gonna get half-ass results. If you want to feel calmer but also be productive, don't try to multitask. Monotask by focusing on one task at a time, getting it done, and then going on to the next one. Journal. If you have many thoughts spiraling out of control in your mind, a pen and a paper is your friend. I started journaling towards the end of 2022, and it is one of the best habits that I added in my life that helps me gain mental clarity. Whenever I don't have a good day, or I find myself unproductive some days, or I feel good, I write down why. Why did I feel good, or why did I feel bad? What caused me to feel this way? Why did I feel this way? What am I going to do about it? What am I going to do next time so that I don't feel this way again? Journaling has been one of the best ways not only to figure out problems in my life that I can fix, but it also helps me write down my thoughts that are spiraling out of control in my brain. You brain dump, and then you experience much more calm and less anxiety and overwhelm. I suggest you start journaling every single day, or at least on those days where you don't feel your best. On the days where you feel stressed, you come home from work or you come home from school and you feel a bit stressed, you have all these thoughts roaming around in your brain. And if you don't have someone to talk to, journaling is the best way that you can do it. Sleep on it. It has been said that Thomas Edison, which is known to be one of the greatest inventors of all time, would go to sleep whenever he would have a problem that he had a difficulty facing. And when he would wake up, he would find a solution, or like have an idea of how to solve the problem that he had trouble solving. And studies have been made that show that sleeping can help you find a solution to a problem or gain insight around the problem. And when I found out about this technique, I started doing this in my life. Whenever I would have a difficulty making a decision in my life, or I had a problem that I had difficulty solving, I would sleep on it. I call it the solution incubator. What I'll do is I'll make research on the problem, like I'll try to solve it myself. I'll spend time online trying to find a solution to the problem, and then when I don't find the solution before I sleep, when I'm about to go to bed, what I'll do is I'll pray. So I'll pray to God, and I'll tell my mind, like, give me the solution, give me ideas. Like, I'll tell my subconscious mind, give me ideas, give me a solution to the problem that I'm trying to solve. And then usually what happens is I'll go to bed, I'll sleep, and I'll either have two things happen. Either one, I'll have a dream about it, like that same night, that's related to the problem, which has happened many times, or the day after, or the days after that, whenever I'm like taking a cool shower, or I'm working out, or I'm reading a book, something that has nothing to do with the problem, right? That's unrelated. I'll literally get an idea that's related to the problem, or I get a solution that it just pops up in my brain. That's the subconscious mind helping you solve a problem. When I search all the information that I need to search online, what I'm basically doing is giving my subconscious mind all the information that it needs. And then when I go to sleep, my conscious mind is sleeping, but my subconscious mind is still awake. Your subconscious mind never goes to sleep. And so when I'm sleeping, my subconscious mind is still awake and it's still working on trying to solve the problem, which is why the next day I either have a dream about it, which I remember, or I'll get an idea out of nowhere. This is your subconscious mind giving you the solution or giving you the answer to the problem that you are trying to solve. Our forebrain is good for solving problems. The problem is that we let the forebrain do a lot of the work, and we don't allow our subconscious mind to do any of the work. This is why we experience a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, a lot of overwhelm, because we let our forebrain, our conscious mind, try to solve the problem, not realizing that we also have a subconscious mind that can help us solve our problem. Allow your subconscious mind to solve the problem for you if your forebrain can't do it for you. When it comes to making moves in our lives, it's like we are pros at overthinking, because we don't make any moves until we feel like it's the right time to make the move. The worst thing about this form of overthinking is that nothing changes in your life, and there's a fine line that you have to walk with thinking things through so you can make the best decisions and just making the decision itself. There are people right now who a year ago wanted to make a decision and never made it, and to this day have not made it. And guess what's the same? Their life. So apply all of these techniques that I just mentioned in this video and gain mental mastery so that you do not overthink and you do not stay in the same spot. But anyways, that's all I gotta say. I'm out.